Hello and welcome back to the railway. We've got Triang Railways SR Suburban EMU coming out of the station here. This is model number R.156 for the power car and R.225 for the dummy car. These were available 1957 to 64. And the centre coach here is just the Suburban coach R.223, available 1957 to 63. Now I think we'll bring these along up to the station here and we'll bring them gently to a stop, and then we'll have a closer look at the models. And here we have both cab ends, and this is the power car, of course, with the illuminated head code. And we've got standard Triang decouplings and metal buffers. And I just love all of this moulded in detail here. We've got this fine riveted detail around the head code here. Just look at the buffer beam. It really is quite a nice piece of moulding, this, and up around the cab door here, handrails and a door handle. And we can see that this car has a running number of S1052S. And here we have the dummy car over here, and it has a S1057S. I think these numbers could have been either way round, it just depends how they were put together in the factory. Looking from slightly above here, we can see the roof detail. We have a number of vents and a periscope, and we can see one of Triang's great fixings here. We've got a screw which runs right through the bodywork, and it's secured with a nut underneath. We'll have a look at that later. And here we have the BR roundel here. These are both reproductions. They were gone when I got this model. There's also a lot of paintwork on this and other stickers which I've removed. So they were in a little bit of a state, but they're not perfect, but they're quite nice running models. And we can see this quite nice detailing with all the doors here, and it's got hinges and handles all the way along. Quite minimal, but a good overall effect. And we've got some nice under-frame detail there. Looking at the back end of each unit here, again we can see we've got the Triang decouplings and the metal buffers, and we've got some interesting, what looks like pipe work along the backs here. Maybe a hook here. And again, looking in slightly more detail here, we can see this is one of those standard Triang coach bogies. These were used on all those 9-inch coaches that we've seen on the layout over the last couple of weeks. On the other unit, the dummy unit, the front bogie is an individual moulding, and it's a dummy power bogie. We'll have a look at that in a second. We can see we've just got a standard glazing strip that runs right through the model there. And again, this really is quite a nice little handle just moulded in there. And here's a little bit of paint there that I haven't managed to remove when I was cleaning up this model. And just looking very closely here, we can see it says guard and luggage. And if you notice, these two windows don't have any glazing, and we can just see the top of the motor bogie in there. Interestingly, the dummy car also has no glazing in this area either. Now looking here, we can see the two bogies. This one is the motor bogie, and we can clearly see the ribbed wheels here. And then if we look at this one on the dummy car, it's a reproduction of the power bogie but in plastic, and it just has the plastic wheels there. Originally, when this model was first released in 1957, this would have just had standard coach bogies on the front here. There was no reproduction motor bogie. Again, looking from underneath, we can see the standard coach bogies at the back end of each one, and we can see we share the same underframe detail on both units. The decals here are the same decals as used on Triang's coaches. Now, very first units of these had no decals, and then I think they had the yellow lion logo, and then they switched to this logo, and I think there was a couple of versions of this, maybe with a see-through background. Numbering, originally it was large like this and stayed large until around 1960 when it had ribbed roofs, and also they got seating in the later models as well. Looking here, we can clearly see those ribbed wheels, and there's the collection plate and the pickup wipers here. And we can see that these couplings on the motor bogie here I've had to glue on. There was no coupling on here, and the screw seemed to have been snapped off in the metalwork, so I've just glued a coupling on here, and then the coupling on the dummy unit over here is just riveted into the plastic. And here, if we look closely, we can see Triang's name there, and then it says built in Britain, and that's repeated on the dummy unit as well. If we look at the dummy unit here, we can see it's got this plate fitted in here, and we can see these two sort of fingers fitting in where this recess is here on the power unit. So these bodies were interchangeable, so I suppose the numbers were printed on, and then whoever assembled these could decide whether they were motors or dummies. And here, if we look closely, we can see the model number here, R.156/225. I've just taken the nut off there, so we'll be able to lift off the roof. We'll just put that to one side, and then there we go, and that comes through the glazing strip, and then we can see inside of there. And we can see that the motor bogie is just suspended from this screw here, and we can see the lamp in there which illuminates the head code. And it's just a little assembly in there, a little reflector in the back there. And if we look through this glazing strip here, we can just see the X120 motor bogie hiding in there. We'll just pull that out perhaps, we'll have a closer look. And there's the motor bogie just hiding in there. I don't think we'll take that out right now, as it's all hooked up to the lamp there, and it's quite fiddly getting it all back in. We'll just have a look inside there, these little pegs which hold the glazing strips in place. And I think we'll get that back together and we'll have a look at the coach. Just before we have a look at the coach, let's look at this service sheet. And what this shows is the Mark II motor bogie and its variations. X120 was the variation used for the EMU. X121 was used for the diesel railcar, and X122 was used on many different models. When the couplings changed to Mark III, each of these numbers gained a 3. So X3 122, X3 121, X3 120. The X3 121 motor bogie went on to be used in the very popular blue Pullman of 1963. This was model number R.555. Further development of the motor bogie went on to produce X3 169 for an old Hornby 00 model, which became R.753, the AL1 or Class 81. Two variants of this model were produced, one with twin pantographs and one with single pantographs. I think we'd better look at the coach now. I think the detailing on the back of this Suburban coach is identical to the back ends of the EMU here. Look, this is the motor coach and this is the dummy coach. I think that is an identical moulding back there. And if I turn that around, we can see the other end of the coach there. Again, just the same buffers, same decoupling. And here we can see the detailing along the sides here, and it does work very well as a centre coach for the EMU. And we've got the first compartment here. We've got lovely detailing around the doors, and this has the smaller numbering, S3153S. And here we've got the standard coach bogies here with the open axle boxes. And again, it's just got a glazing strip inside there. These roofs are glued on, they're quite an early coach, so there's no screw holding the roof on. And the detailing is similar right the way along, and we have vents all the way along the roof. And again, this one has a smooth roof. Later on, these models came with ribbed roofs as well, and seating. And here we can see this underframe detail, which is just clipped onto the coach, probably glued in this case, and it'll be used on a number of Triang coach models. And we can see the Triang name there. So not only do we have Triang moulded into the underframe detail, but we have it directly in the base of the coach too, along with two model numbers, R121 and 223. 121 was the maroon version of this coach, 223 is the one we're looking at here today. And there we can see the sleeved wheels on a single axle. Now I think we'll get this little lot back onto the railway and we'll have a look at them run again. Look at that beautiful long shot as she eases out of the station there. Building a little power, you can hear those ribbed wheels on the steel track, a very distinctive sound. Beautifully past the engine shed there, we can just see the head code lighting up. And past the brick wagons now. Off around the curve here, and then we'll open points number 7 and take her onto the outside line. Nicely through there. And then we'll close those up behind her. Now, having just looked at all those service sheets of the different variations of the Mark II motor bogie, we should probably point out that the mechanism is largely the same. It's the side frames on these units which change from model to model, which accounts for so many variations. It's a very strong motor, a very reliable unit. And looking excellent coming through there with the illuminated head code. I think this set of models comes from the 1959 period, as we've got smooth roofs, Mark III couplings, and we've got that dummy drive bogey on the dummy unit there. Looking terrific just coming past the Britannia there, under the elevated section, and approaching the station. We're going to get a slight stutter on this diamond crossing here. There's rather a large dead spot in these. Beautifully round behind the engine sheds now. Now we're leaving with page 16 of the 1957 catalogue, the first year she appeared. Thank you very much. Goodbye now.